Good afternoon, Timmy Talkers, and I hope you're all well. Now, what is it about Britain or the United Kingdom that makes us embarrassed to laud any of our advances? This is a country that gave not me, I wish I could take credit for some of it, the jet engine, the hovercraft, the structure of DNA, the internet, the industrial revolution, advances in healthcare, most medicines, TV. The Italians did the radio, but that's it. Good on them. So we did telly, and we seem to just go, oh, we're a bit embarrassed about that, so we'll ignore all that. The British Empire gets a bad press, but absolutely everywhere the British Empire went, even to this day, the life expectancy is still longer than all comparable countries, and our literacy rates are still bigger, higher than all other comparable countries. They still use the judicial system we took, they still use the civil service system we took. And the fact that English is spoken all over the world would suggest that perhaps it wasn't a force for complete evil. We did go all around the world, and there were some dubious acts, of course there were. We were an invading force. A few people entered the country, perceivably on peaceful means, and made every single person in that country change what they were doing to fit us, the new ones coming in. That sounds very similar to what's going on here today. But I digress. Anyway, this struck me because there was a little bit of a storm. It wasn't that bad, but the seawall's completely gone. All down Folkestone. I don't think it was there that long. It wasn't like a tsunami. It was just a very blustery day. That's all washed into the sea. That's spending X amount of millions on a cycle path. It's going to take, it's nearly 2 years it will be. They took a roundabout out, rebuilt it. They put a zebra crossing in, took it out, put it back in again. I've never seen anybody on the cycle path that goes onto the road on the path, around a tree, back on the road, then down to nothing. Then you have to negotiate that and back onto the cycle path again. Anyway, 2 years and millions of pounds, and they're putting in a nice green space in Folkestone for tramps to drink, because no one else is going to go there. And then I started thinking about some of the things that I'm aware that China have done. Love them or hate them, you've got to admire them. They did a complete railway upgrade connecting an old section to a new section in 9 hours. 9 hours. That was 1,500 workers, 28 excavators. They practiced what they were doing before they went to do it, and they didn't have to shut any of the lines down to get it done. It does go on, if you go online it says they built a new station. They didn't, but what they did was remarkable anyway. They built a 10-storey skyscraper in 28 hours. It was all built off-site as a modular thing, 28 hours. 10 stories. I don't know how many flats are in each one, but for God's sake, it would take longer than that for someone to sign the form here to start it. A 57-storey skyscraper in 19 days. Again, all built modular, brought onto site and assembled, but for God's sake, 2 years for a roundabout and a cycle path no one wants, 19 days for a 57-storey skyscraper. They must have very, very efficient inclusivity officers over there to get this type of action taken. And the Three Gorges Dam, it produces per year half of what the UK requires per year. So this one dam, granted it's in China, but this one dam could power the UK for 6 months, all on its own. It was paid for itself within 3 or 4 years, I think. There was a slight anomaly because they started it while they were still building it, so it's difficult to see. And it costs what the NHS costs. It costs to build what the NHS we waste on the NHS in 28 days. So, if we didn't spend anything on the NHS for 2 months and built 2 dams, everyone could have free electric forever, couldn't they? You've got to take your hat off to them. But our pride marches are better. Anyway, there you go, just a bit cross. Going past the roundabout. I've never had any training in roundabout building, but I reckon I could have had a fair go at it by now. But I have to spend 3 hours putting cones out, 3 hours taking them back in again. Everyone has to go to HR, don't they? Make sure they got exactly the right reflective orange trousers on, otherwise they must go home. We live in ridiculous times. We're binding ourselves up with guilt. We're binding ourselves up with red tape. We're binding ourselves up with just nonsense. It's almost like it's planned. Anyway, today's song is China in Your Hand by T'Pau. See you tomorrow, and hope you're all well. Enjoy your Sunday.